Hello and welcome everyone again into another video. Today's video we're going to talk about the top teams, the best of the best in the Jungle Cup. Jungle Cup is actually one of the most fun cups. In fact, last time I played it, I actually went like so undefeated, like something like 14-1 or 19-1. I can't remember. Like I think it's like going to be like something like 23-2. In today's video, we're going to talk about the best teams and the team I used back then because it's still one of the best teams you could actually use. Now, before we head into the top Pokemons, let's just talk about what is Jungle Cup. Jungle Cup, those two Pokemons will be banned. Why it's banned? Because Niantic decided to ban them because back in the days, the first time they made it, those two Pokemons were OP. But now they aren't OP, but Niantic just keep recycling the same old homework. You know, it's like that course you had it in university where like the professor keep just repeating the same exams all the time. So if you have like past exams, you're just gonna get like a full mark. And that's how Niantic literally work. They just keep getting the same old code and then just reuse it. That's gonna happen. Like they aren't even gonna take a look at like, okay, let's just unban Gligar. Nope. Even though the best Pokemon is like Piloswine, which destroys both, but yeah, it's not gonna happen because Niantic just keep doing the same old homework. So Grass, Normal, Electric, Poison, Ground, Flying, Bug, and Dark-type Pokemons are permitted. Everything else is not. So, as an example, Dragons aren't allowed, but if the dragon has a Dark-type, or Ground, or Flying, or Bug, or Poison, or Electric, or Grass, it will be viable. Now, I don't recommend using grass or ground with a dragon because that means you're just gonna get melted to a Piloswine. And if you take a look above at the PvP, you can see that Piloswine is number 1 and 2. Yeah, that's how OP this Pokemon this cup is. Followed by Diggersby, Clodsire. I think they both play the same role, except that Diggersby is kind of a safer pick in this cup, but Clodsire is like technically a better closer. Even though they both have the same moveset, except that Piloswine can... Clodsire can hit the Flyers with a Stone Edge. Followed by Fortress. What does Fortress do? It destroys Piloswine. That's everything. That's literally like its main job, to hard counter a Piloswine. Then there is a Stunfisk, Galarian, and to be honest, Galarian Stunfisk is not number 1 because Piloswine exists in this cup. It should be number 1 if Piloswine is banned. We have a Crustle. What does Crustle do? It beats Piloswine. Yeah. And then there is Corviknight and Altaria and Swalot. Swalot is so good in this cup, except that it doesn't beat everything above it. So, yeah, that's why it's not anything above top 10, because everything in the top 10 beats it. It just beat everything else. It has Mudshot, Ice Beam, and Sludge. It's a great combination, except that it just like struggles into the ground type Pokemons. And then there is Diggersby, Shadow, Credilli, and Dunsparce, and Mamoswine. What does Mamoswine do? It's kind of like a more aggressive version of Piloswine, but you actually need Piloswine only in this cup. Something that's worth mentioning, these fire-type Pokemons are actually good into Piloswine because there will always be a Piloswine. But be aware, you don't have to risk your game to that much to be able to beat the Piloswine. So, let's start by talking about the top teams in this cup. The first team that I think it's just top 3 PvP, it's Piloswine, Diggersby, and Clodsire. Which one is the safe swap? It's the second Pokemon, Diggersby. Now, if you're going to use this team, I actually recommend something slightly different here. I recommend to use Shadow Diggersby over the Diggersby, but you're still going to get cooked by the Flyers no matter what. But that's why we have Piloswine. So the main job of this team is that you lead Piloswine. If you see Altaria, you stay in. If you see a Flyer, you stay in, okay? If you see a Fire, you just dip out to Diggersby to bait out the Dragon, to bait out the Grass type, okay? To bait out the Ground type. Because you want a Clodsire to sweep later in the game, and for the Clodsire to sweep, you have to bait out its counters with the Diggersby. So that's the main thing about this team. Now, I don't recommend this team for people who don't know how to play meta. If you don't know how to handle meta-type Pokemons, I recommend this team instead, which is basically a hard counter to that team. If you can see, we have a Steel type to counter the Ice type, we have a Flyer to counter the Ground, and we have a Ground Ice to counter the Ground Poison. So the main job of this team is literally just to hard counter this trio. Except that it's not going to perform better. Like, it's not going to do well if people aren't using this trio, okay? If people are using 2 of these 3, this team is going to be great. If they are using only 1, then you're going to struggle. And that's where, like, the idea of the third team came in, which is, this was my team last season. Last time we had Jungle Cup, I was just using Credeli or Ferret here instead of this guy. So Caesar, Altaria, Ferret. If I see a Piloswine in the lead, I win. If I see Altaria in the lead, I also win. So that's like basically the team. We're just gonna double shield Caesar. Now, why Zweilous exists? Because Zweilous has Body Slam, Dragon Breath, which is a very fast, it's like kind of a spammy type Pokemon. So that's like the main thing about Zweilous. Altaria is there, you know, to hard counter those ground type, those Diggersby that will swap in. If they swap in Diggersby, by the way, do 5 fast moves and then go to Altaria. So you have some residual energy for later in the game. And if you are someone, like if you see lots of steel types, such as the Fortress or Caesar, the Pokemon I recommend using is a Stunfisk. Now, the problem with the Stunfisk is that when you run Thunder Shock, you're going to need Mud Shot. When you run Mud Shot, you're going to need Thunder Shock. Like, I'm literally not even trolling. You will always need the other fast move. I think Drifloon has a place in this meta. It's just too risky to use. So use it at your own risk. And that's where like the idea of the next team is coming. This team is basically 3 neutral type Pokemons. We don't want to hard counter anyone, okay? We love everyone, but we're just going to outplay everyone. This is the idea of this team. So we have a Crustle, which has Rockricker for the Flyers, which also beat Piloswine if you run Rock Blast. Rock Blast is super effective, but honestly, I think Excadrill is better. Now, I'm not sure if his Smackdown is viable because I haven't checked like the new update for the Smackdown. I need to look at the numbers. So you guys let me know. Do you guys think Smackdown is still viable or no? Now, the safe swap is Dunsparce, or you could use Licky Licky. Either of those are fine, and then in the back you have a Spiritomb. So this team relies on having energy management. If you're someone who has great energy management, I think this team is actually gonna carry, and it's actually a decent one, like overall. Next team, I think Rise to the Occasion played this team like a very long time ago, back when he had close to 50k subs. And I still use it and talk about it because of this Pokemon right here, Pangoro. The team is basically 2 bulky Pokemons and Pangoro. So you just rely on exhausting the opponent with those 2, and then 2 shield Pangoro in the back as will carry. And that's the idea with this team, where this team came from, which is Piloswine, Diggersby, and Wiggly. Again, 2 neutral type Pokemon and a hard counter to those Altarias in the back. Now, I actually think that this team is fun to use. You could use Credeli in the lead with Acid, or you could use Fortress. It depends on whatever you see. And the double Dark in the back, because Mandibuzz is just Mandibuzz, and Incineroar is actually a fun type Pokemon to use. Now, the problem with Incineroar, if you use a Snarl, you're going to need Fire Fang. If you use Fire Fang, you're going to be like, oh my god, I need a Snarl. So that's like the main thing about it. It's just not something you would always pray to have. Now, this was a popular team back in the days. I think you just put Quag in here. These are old teams, by the way. Quag in here is fine, Shadow Swampert, and it's just, you know, Skarmory or the new bird with double Mud Boys. It's an OG team. I think it's still viable, and that's why I think this team right here is good. You run Water Gun here, by the way. You don't run Spark. And you have a better Piloswine. This is technically supposed to be a better Piloswine because you can hit them with super effective grass move as well. And Ferret is just a neutral type lead. This is a team I used back in the days in Jungle Cup couple years ago. And I think it still has a good play. Caesar is still Caesar. Now, the problem with this team is something called Stunfisk, so you have to think about that. Like, you have to think twice before using it. So that's why I think you maybe try to find a grass type to use here. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about Jungle Cup. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos, and don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you see a hype button, make sure to click that. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.